I'm just thinking of someone who works in the concrete industry is really excited to listen to this podcast. They're just
I
like,
just got him fired.
no, this podcast just ended my.
Oh
But
man, I'm getting fired
yeah.
tomorrow.
Ooh, welcome. As we're headed up to the upside. This is the podcast which serves as your time traveler's guide to the present, hosted by myself, Los, aka the artist formerly known as Los, aka your friendly neighborhood Los. And as always, I'm joined by
Bertram Cobb, aka the State Fair's most handsome man.
hmm, two
State Fair,
years,
a lot of roller coasters, a lot of things going up.
2 years running now, right?
Well, that was my first year.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
it is
congratulations.
now.
I'm already looking. I'm living in
Last
the future.
no, I was disqualified last year. It's too good looking. I had
Uh,
to blemish myself up a little
uh,
bit there.
And this episode is sponsored by nobody. Nobody's sponsoring this just yet. So luckily, you get the premium version, which is ad free. So for a limited time only,
Yeah,
thanks for enjoying this very free preview that you have. So you enjoy
yeah.
this without ads.
Enjoy it now, because we're gonna be nickel and diming you here in a few more months. Okay, we're gonna recoup our expenses
Yeah, no one's asked
on your
us yet,
backs.
but we are glad you're here, and we hope you share the podcast with friends, family,
Yeah.
loved ones, worst enemies, and yeah, strangers
Mm,
that you pass on the street, walk and say, just, hey, have you listened
yeah.
to the Upsiders yet or watched this?
Yeah. Ooh, yeah,
But
please.
yeah, subscribe, follow, do whatever you can to support us and keep this thing going
Yeah.
because we just want to look on the
And
upside for y'all.
absolutely. If you don't know about our YouTube, go to our YouTube. That's where you can see our video versions of our podcast, and then you can go to everywhere else just to hear our voices. But if you
Yeah,
want to see the video, if you want to see what this handsome Los looks like, man, you got to
stop it.
go to the YouTube, check
Stop
it
it.
out.
You want to see
Uh,
the
Leave some comments.
the fair's best looking man, two
You know,
years,
well,
almost
it's the
2 years
Indiana
in.
State Fair, so it's
Indiana.
not a
Yeah.
high bar. It's not like California. You guys got the state fair in Los Angeles? No,
We have
that's gotta
county
be somewhere
fairs.
else, brother,
Yeah.
right?
They have a state
You got the
fair, then
LA
I
County
probably don't
Fair?
know about it. It's probably in Sacramento, so wouldn't know.
Where's the LA Fairgrounds?
Pomona.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's LA County, so
This fits. That's fair. This fits to what we're talking about today, though, because Los Angeles is somewhat in the heart and center of some of this talk of sponge cities, if we want to get right into it, because man, there was some corruption in the history of Los Angeles. I don't know if you
yes.
know that.
Yes. So today we're
Yeah.
talking, well, you probably clicked to listen to it or it was on autoplay, but today's episode we're talking about sponge cities. So
Mm.
what you might ask, cities made of sponges? What the heck are we
Yeah.
talking about here? But yeah, we'll get into how that could be the future of some cities and a way for us to be
Yeah.
more sustainable with the few
Mm.
resources that we do have in certain areas. So, what is a sponge city, Bertram?
Okay, so what you want in your city, right? You collect a lot of rainwater, right? There's flooding that happens all the time. In fact, I think I have a number that 44% of all disaster events have been flood related, specifically in some of these cities that have develop more sponge cities. But you essentially need to be able to absorb rainwater like a sponge. And that seems like it makes a lot of sense, but that's not typically how we build our cities. One of the things I looked up was this idea of gray infrastructure. So when you think of gray infrastructure, that's sewers, pipelines, right? All these things that we have to try to combat flooding. Right,
Mhm.
they build concrete walls, things of that nature. That's how humans have evolved to deal with rainwater and all its effects when it becomes too much. And so a sponge city is a city that uses more green infrastructure to absorb, store, and slowly release the rainwater like a sponge. Take it all on, very porous, can take on a lot of water and then slowly drain the water back out to be more helpful. So pipes, gutters, and drains tend to be more gray infrastructure that channel water as quickly as possible. A sponge city works with natural processes to manage water where it falls,
Yeah.
which would be a much safer, cheaper, less problematic option for a lot of cities.
So basically, what you're saying is that up until recently, cities have been built. If we're thinking water, right? You're taking a funnel and then you're putting that water into a bucket. Whereas
Mm,
if we think of a sponge, right? Water gets on top of this or flows into this sponge, and then we're able to really squeeze it out and maximize all of that back into whether it's this uh, bucket that we're using as an analogy,
yeah.
or if it's a tub, something that you're collecting that water
Mm,
into. But the, given that the sponge is able to absorb it, you're maximizing what you could get rather than if it's coming down the
yeah.
funnel, then, that's just it. Nothing goes through the cracks. You have this very limited sort of space to collect it.
Yeah, and one of the problems that started a lot of this was climate change. Was that our weather has started to become a lot more hazardous, a lot less consistent, and it's a very interesting problem that you probably deal with way more than me in Los Angeles, where there are times where you beg for so much water. Man, we just need a good rain to get these crops. But then when you get rain, it floods and kills everything. And so it is becoming unsustainable for our way of life as human beings to be able to predict this and be flexible with our water usage. And so I think this idea of sponge cities allows us to be more flexible and work with some of the water the way that we need to survive. There was a book that I took a look at when I was doing my research for this podcast called Water Always Wins by Erica Gies, Gies. And she went over a lot of these issues that we're having and saying, look, you're not going to defeat water, right? You can build all of these things, but at the end of the day, water does everything it can to try and, go the way you're supposed to be go the way you're supposed to be going, and we have to be able to be resilient. She talked about how we need to be water detectives essentially and figure out how do we work around with this water, or we're going to be flooded out. We're all going to be Noah in the ark. So we got to figure out some workarounds.
Yeah, and and by the way, those of you who are new to the podcast, or maybe you just didn't know, whether you're listening or watching this, in either the description or the show notes, you could find all the links and fun goodies from our research and preparation of this podcast. So, you ever wonder
Mm,
where they get this info from? It's over there.
yeah.
It's in the show notes. So if you're driving, please don't stop right now. Or if you're on a run, just save that for later, but just know it's there.
Mm,
But yeah, so we mentioned, right, me living in Los Angeles, and this is really
yeah.
where this topic came from. And you hinted a little bit at the dirty deeds that LA did to get its water. So, for the
Yeah.
uninitiated, there was literally a battle. They called it the California Water Wars back in 1913, I believe, and which we, as in the city of Los Angeles, strong armed some farmers hundreds and hundreds of miles
Yeah.
from here, um, and basically said, "We're taking your water." And that's how LA has gotten a majority of its water via Owens Lake or Owens River. Um, but yeah, some dirty business there. But you could see it because LA, it doesn't have a major water source. You may say the ocean. That's true, but we're just not at that point where we're getting water from the ocean and not at that level. So Yeah, that's called desalination. That could be a future episode, but yeah.
Ooh,
So very
okay.
limited source of resources, big city. So what do? You get basically import your water. So, but when it rains, to Bertram's point, few times it does rain, oftentimes something gets flooded because once these reservoirs or these rivers, we have something called the LA River. I call it something because it really doesn't resemble a river when you see it, because it's a concrete slab. I believe that spans over 50 miles, from somewhere in the valley to down in Long Beach. Um, and yeah, it's just this concrete slab. You've seen it in movies. There's Grease, there's a few others,
Terminator
Drive.
2, I think.
Yeah. Whenever you see like there's a car chase or there's this really intense scene where there's just these cars just driving in this big expanse of concrete, that's the LA River most likely. So it's built to really channel water as quickly as possible because the LA River is like basically on this slope to begin with. And so the water moves really quickly when it rains. And so back in the day before they did this, it was a natural river. In fact, the native people, the Tongva people, used to get their water from the LA River, but it was susceptible to floods because, and yeah, I believe in well, and I'm sorry, I don't have these exact dates, but there was a time in which there was a massive flood, that ended up with some casualties. So the U.
Mm,
Army Corps, Engineering Corps, U.S. Army Engineering Corps, conceived this idea that let's just put it all in concrete, and so that the water could move and flow very quickly into the ocean and stuff like that. So, yeah, brief little history lesson of how LA gets its water. Doesn't
yeah.
seem
What do you want to
really,
see happen to it? Because I know in the video they talked about by 2028 they want to be finished with their reconstruction of it, right?
yeah. So the future of the LA River, I would love for, because it's a river and I love bodies of water near cities, I would want it restored to as close as its natural state as possible. Um,
Mm,
there's a plan to get somewhere close to that. But LA has also been in a mission of sort of reclaiming more of their water, reusing their water, um, so that I believe now we've increased significantly the water that we actually get ourselves. But work is to be done in terms of
mm.
reclaiming it further and building out some additional infrastructure.
By Mayor Karen Bass.
Yeah, that's our mayor's name.
That's the mayor, elected in 2022.
Yeah, yeah.
Focusing on urgent housing initiatives, improving public safety, and making Los Angeles more livable for our residents. I hear say water. You better say water, Karen.
Should say water. There's a lot to work on. But yeah, that's a little LA history lesson here. But so some
Yeah.
examples of places that have effectively become sponge cities. Where have we
Yeah.
seen this?
Okay. Well, so I have in the show notes a group called Arup, which is based off a structural engineer from England. I think his name was Obi Arup, something like that. Really interesting site that talks about a lot of engineering issues, and it used a AI called Terrain to calculate the amount of green and blue areas in urban centers, and then factor in soil types and vegetation and runoff potential, and they use that to project how well they're doing as a sponge city, right? And so, what is the spongiest city? Auckland, New Zealand is 35% spongy. They have Notably, the study found the city's urban center has a low percentage of trees compared to New York, Singapore, and Mumbai. The city has a mid-ranking soil type of the city, similar to Singapore, Shanghai, and London. Nairobi is very close to being the spongiest city. Toronto, Singapore, Mumbai, New York, Montreal, Shanghai, and then we have London and Sydney. Rounding it out over there. So those are some of the spongiest cities so far that have really started to account for the change of our climate and how flexible we need to be, fighting against water apparently.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so we could see that um yeah, there's already sponge cities around, and it makes your city becoming spongy um
Yeah,
is actually it actually beautifies your city, because what we're talking about is a lot more green spaces than there are. I mentioned the
yeah.
whole concrete thing of the LA River. It's really the opposite of that. So rather than these,
Livability.
yeah, livability, you're able to breathe better, you're able to play around with whether your kids or your friends, because there's actual spaces now. And so when it rains, those areas, those wetlands are able to absorb it
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Well, and one of the added benefits of this that hadn't considered is it has the urban heat island effect. So the more green infrastructure that you build, trees, green roofs, parks, it has a cooling effect. So the evaporation of stored water further helps to lower urban temperatures, making cities more comfortable and livable. Summer is my favorite season, and I did not get to enjoy it nearly as much as I normally do because it's just been too hot and humid and just nasty, and
Yeah.
we need to figure something else out immediately. But some of the other perks of us having a sponge city is flood mitigation, which is the
Mhm.
primary driver, obviously,
Mhm.
but also improved water quality because you let the stormwater filter through the soil, and then drought resilience, so that the sponge effect, where it slowly can seep back out the water, is a those are some great benefits. This idea of a sponge city, because I wanted to know how long has this been around. The term's been around for about 20 years when Yu Kongjian of Peking University was noticed the issue. It started gaining momentum after a devastating flood in Beijing, and then the Chinese government adopted the Sponge City initiative. Let me go back up here for a second. You had said that 60% of China's medium and large cities were susceptible to floods and experienced flooding every year. And extreme weather from climate change was exacerbating the problem. And Los, when he tried to pitch the idea of a sponge city, they thought he might be a spy for the United States government and trying to undermine China's, China's economic push. I thought that was really interesting. Before Kongjian Yu coined the term of sponge city, it was known as multiple different things: low impact development in the United States, water sensitive urban design in Australia, and sustainable urban drainage systems in the United Kingdom. And much like many of the episodes we do, I think about repair cafes, was that it seems like it's a movement going on in multiple places at the same time, and just one thing kind of takes hold, and now we have this concept of sponge cities.
Yeah. And yeah, what a beauty. Hold on. Let's show some people. This is from, I don't know if you had this in your
Professor Kongjian Yu.
our notes, but this is the Sugi project. Um,
Oh, yeah, you got some pictures for us?
yeah. Oh my.
Yes. Here we
Ooh,
go.
look at that sponge. Oh my goodness. What a beauty here. Um,
Looks like can't. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's
yeah, look at
gorgeous.
that.
Wow.
Who wouldn't want to live here?
Imagine a city that isn't ravaged. Yeah, sponge cities shrug off impermeable surfaces. And I think that's the issue that we're running into, Los, is that we have all these things that are so permanent, and what a lot of the experts are finding is that we have to continuously change and adapt with the rising climate change and all these different issues, so that building these structures is not only expensive, but then we have to change it every few years, and that is not sustainable. And so this idea of sponge cities is building this flexible green environment that can change on a dime and is fairly cheap to install.
Absolutely. So you could see here in this, I guess we could call it a diagram, but it's an actual photo, but they point out some components of what makes this city spongy, which is
Mm,
demonstrated here at Ben Jakiti, sorry for the mispronunciation, Forest Park
mm.
in Bangkok, Thailand. So you could
Oh,
see,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
one area of what we see here, trees maybe, you reduce flood risk. And then this area here, they help lower water pollution. And then you see here, they diminish the burden on drainage systems, which is a huge thing too, right? When it rains a lot, you
Mm,
want your drainage systems to not fail. That's not nice. So some of these wetlands here assist with that. They boost water security by collecting and repurposing rainwater. They increase
yeah.
biodiversity, which is
Mm,
in an ecosystem. And then finally, they enhance people's quality of life and well-being. Who doesn't want that?
yeah.
Come on now.
Uh, as we look at that picture, there is a really good quote that fits from Richard Luthi, who is the professor of civil and environmental engineering at Stanford University. Oh, look at that. He said, the idea is that you put water into it year after year and then pump it out when you get into a drought. The ground becomes your savings bank for water. And what I like about a lot of these pictures is that I see the savings bank right there, that when a drought comes, you're more protected and prepared.
Mm-hmm. So look at
Wow.
Manhattan Healing Forest.
Oh, that's Manhattan. I see London. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Whoa, look at this. This is a 6 month timeline. Oh my.
Yeah, if you're listening to us on our podcast right now, some of these sites that we have, which one is this? This is the Sugi
Yeah,
project?
sugiproject.org or
Yeah.
.com, sorry. Yeah, so we're seeing different time spans, right? They're highlighting parks or um yeah, just spaces here, and they're showing the improvements from when this project started. So we're looking at a Clifton Urban Forest in Pakistan, uh, where we're seeing the results 3 years in and how that's improved.
Wow.
And then they also have references there, and so you could discover more of what they call Sugi life. But yeah, you could find that in the notes. But we just wanted to show y'all who are watching on YouTube, and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, now you could visualize exactly what is a sponge city, and a synonym for a sponge city is just a beautiful city and a livable one. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. Bertram,
Yeah.
any more thoughts here?
Well, I just pulled up a really good quote from the Water Always Wins book by Erica Geese.
Mhm.
When we talk about this idea of gray infrastructure and why it's problematic compared to the green infrastructure in sponge cities, Erica notes that not all infrastructure projects might be worth the investment. Dams, seawalls, other flood barriers, for example, are expensive and can take a long time to build. And after they're completed, they may sink or become ineffective because of changing conditions. Boston weighed a 3.8-mile long seawall that would have cost nearly $12 billion, taken 30 years to build, and caused major environmental damage. Instead, it opted to add 67 acres of green space along the water, restore 122 articles of tidal marsh, and elevate some flood prone areas. Los, I can't believe this episode has really changed my thought on how we deal with flooding. Because if I was the mayor of Los Angeles right now and a flood comes, I'm like, oh, we have to build a lot of dams and concrete and
Mhm.
things of that nature. You totally don't have to do that at all. And in fact, it's more expensive to build all that stuff, and it either won't hold, or it takes too long, or the environment changes so rapidly that now you don't even need those things, and now they're just eyesores.
I'm just thinking of someone who works in the concrete industry is really excited to listen to this podcast. They're just
I
like,
just got them fired.
no, this podcast just ended my. um,
Oh
but
man, I'm getting fired
yeah,
tomorrow.
but yeah. So
I'm gonna can I give can I give some examples of sponge cities? Like, here are some of the things that you can do, and maybe you could pull up some pictures. I
yeah,
think it's the Sponge Cities Explain link number
oh
11.
yeah, pull it up,
Um,
Jamie.
I saw yeah, pull it up, Jamie. The
Jamie should
first thing
work
I
for
saw
us
that I
now.
thought was absolutely. Permeable pavements and surfaces replace impermeable concrete and asphalt to allow to filter into the ground. And one of the things I really liked is that you can build these as walkways. You can put permeable pavements and surfaces just about anywhere in a downtown area, on side streets, things of that nature, and just make sure that you essentially build, your lines. Like, I think about not quite like a brick road or a stone road or something, but just making sure that it's not just one big slab of concrete. It's, it's little squares, things of that nature. Something a little bit more permeable so water can get through there and filter it out. I was thinking about, oh yeah, do we
So you
have
spoke
any?
of
Is there anything in this
permeable
picture?
pavements and surfaces.
Yeah, some of them.
So
Yeah,
we
those
see it
those
here.
right there.
So think of
Oh, I
everyone
think so,
watching,
right there. Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
a
yeah. Oh,
diagram,
look at that.
showing a diagram of a walkway, right? Maybe that's a sidewalk, and you see a cyclist there. You see a parent with their child, but then
Oh
underneath
man,
we have
yeah.
arrows showing, okay, when water enters this this area, given that there's trees and plants here, where does that water go? How is it retained?
And it doesn't look crazy different than what we're doing now, right, Los?
Yeah,
This is I mean, it's very green, but this isn't an eyesore. It's not something where you're like, we gotta completely redo our city now. You see a lot of places already built like this. Just being mindful of, okay, you're gonna just concrete slab this whole thing because if you do, where's the water gonna go?
yeah. Oh, yeah. And this is something. So, one of their case studies here is Berlin's Rummelsburg project. And this is something I read
Yeah.
about and found out about years ago, years
Oh,
ago, a long
really?
time. And I think this might have introduced me to the concept of sponge cities. I may have to scour YouTube. There's probably a really good video on it, and that's probably how I saw it. But yeah, you could see here in the Rummelsburg project, which includes housing and surrounding green spaces, that they put green on top of the buildings. So you could see that there's grass there and there's plants, like full-fledged gardens. So they could accommodate different plant and animal species, which in turn creates a cooling effect, as they describe here. Water elements
Yeah.
balances out urban heating, and this creates a more pleasant and sustainable living climate for the citizens that live here. And then we highlight here, apart from the ecological benefits, Rummelsburg provides places that are worth spending time in for recreation, boosting mental health, and community interaction. You
Mm.
think about that, right?
Los,
So,
can we
yeah,
yeah.
sorry. The
I was just gonna say, can we see Copenhagen too?
Yeah, absolutely. We could see Copenhagen. But as I scroll down here, you think about like when you get off like a meeting or you just need a
Yeah.
break, and they always encourage you to go for a walk. Now, imagine that you go for a walk here versus in some concrete slab, of a place. It
Mm.
doesn't hit the same, right? It's different when you just see a bunch of green and trees, and you maybe hear some birds, even though I don't like birds. But yeah, but we could see here
What's
just
wrong with birds?
how much more beautiful. They're annoying. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Copenhagen, this is the cloud burst management plan. Uh, Copenhagen, an area that experiences a lot of rainfall. You could see how they've situated here their sponge city design. So, an integrated network, as they describe, with permeable streets, green corridors, retention ponds, and underground reservoirs that collect and
Mm.
redirect stormwater. So, they have all different solutions which make up their plan, right? So, you have the permeable streets, meaning that's almost that
Ooh.
true sponge effect, right? So water comes in, it really absorbs it and then redirects it. Then you have green corridors. Yeah, so you just have like plants and stuff that the waters can enter to, but then you have these ponds here that they call retention ponds, which really act as like a mini bowl or mini tub that the water could then get redirected to these reservoirs, which they have underground. So it's a holistic system that they really have here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man,
So when we
sponge
talk
cities.
about what can you do, because I love looking at the upside, but now how do we make the upside actionable?
Yeah.
I looked into it because man, I live in Indianapolis, and the place I live in has a really old sewer system, and we get a lot of rainfall, and just, yeah, we get flooding constantly. And so some of the things that you can do on an individual level are plant a rain garden, install a permeable driveway. I thought about that too. If we
Ooh.
can get our driveways to be permeable, because that's one of the issues that causes a lot of the runoff that goes into the houses is, you know, a lot of the rainfall really just goes right off the your driveway. Add a green roof to your garden. Simply disconnect your downspout to let water soak into your lawn. Those things. But what I really liked was at the community level, can you push for permeable materials in public spaces like schoolyards and parking lots? Because I don't
Yes.
know how you feel about concrete jungles, man, but they drive me absolutely insane. Where it's just all those shops and just
Oh,
constant concrete
gross.
everywhere. It breaks my heart. And I'm not suggesting that you got to make permeable roads or anything just yet, but parking garages or drive or excuse me, parking lots,
Hold on, I was
schoolyards. These
gonna
are some
throw up
things
a
that could
little.
really easily do permeable. Oh,
It's
go ahead.
gonna it's gonna throw up a little parking garages. Parking lots. Ugh, gross, man. Stop it, please. Anyway, don't
Yeah.
want to go on that. But yeah, make those permeable. So when we say permeable,
And
everyone,
yeah,
it just means spongy. Just make these places spongy, these
yeah.
structures
And
spongy.
at a city level, you can support policies that incentivize or mandate green infrastructure for new developments.
Yeah.
Which I think, man, I went to the First Merchants Bank with who's now the retired president of Indiana, David Green, invited us up there, and it was this new building that was really built, and I think shut down during COVID. First Merchants Bank took it over, and I know that they developed a lot of the area around there to put a lot more green,
Mhm.
especially, I think there's a lake over there, so they really built it to put a lot of not necessarily, I think, a sponge city or some of the idea, but they started to kind of give nature, give it back to Mother Nature, if you will. And I think they have a rooftop garden too.
Ooh.
So slowly, it's happening with some of this new development.
Yeah, you think, and it's like I on when we're looking at the upside, right? When you look at all the problems that we've caused or that have become merely consequential to some of the actions we've taken, yeah, concrete, all of that stuff. But these lessons that we learn, right? The fact that it
Mm.
clicked to someone at some point. Well, maybe it was during the Rummelsburg project in Berlin or otherwise. Hey, these roofs, like, why don't we just put green up here?
Yeah.
Like, let's just put some plants or let's put some grass up here. Like,
Why does it
roofs,
have to be
especially on
ugly?
commercial buildings, like, you're not doing anything on the roof. So, might as well put some green up there and then make it cooler. Like, start capturing water. And I love it. I love evolving, right? So, shout outs. Sometimes humans could do some pretty great things. I mean, that's the reason why this podcast exists. But yeah, just a little rant real quick.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm another episode where you got me thinking about some stuff, Los. And now when I ask about new developments in the city, the first thing I say is, "Hey, how can we make this Sponge City compliant?"
Sponge City compliant. I love that. All right,
Yeah,
yeah, because when I brought it up to Bertram, he was like, What are you talking about, Los? What the heck is a sponge city?" And I
yeah,
so that's what we're talking about this weekend. So sure enough. So glad we got to illuminate you, Bertram. Hopefully everyone listening or watching is illuminated as well.
yeah.
Start going down your own rabbit hole
Give
and
us some
exploring
money.
what sponge cities are. If you give us some money, if you see some lag here, Los could use a new laptop here. His Mac is struggling. So
Yeah,
that could increase the
I
quality
was
of
just
the.
gonna say, if if you learn like I do every week, just listening to Los, who's basically like Dumbledore or Gandalf at this point, uh, if you learn from Los like I do, you should give us some money because I know I do. I know, I this
Yeah.
this this podcast calls money to run, man. So pay Los.
Pay me, pay Bertram, pay someone. We'll get a Patreon up soon. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're really grateful that you listen to us. We love that you're listening to us, and I hope you share the wealth with everyone here. Yeah, just cause a pandemic of just knowledge. That's what we want. knowledge, lessons, and action here. So always appreciate that. On behalf of Bertram, I am Los, and I'll see you on the other side. In fact, I'll see you on the upside. Bye bye. Mahalo.